Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if the super smart AI we're all talking about, like GPT-4o, can actually think fairly, or if it has got some of our own human quirks, our biases? Well, in this episode, we're diving deep into a fascinating study that asks exactly that. Imagine AI being used in courtrooms to help judges or lawyers. Pretty wild, right? But what if that AI is accidentally influenced by the order in which it sees information, just like humans can be? This paper explores if GPT-4o, a really advanced AI, shows what is called recency effects when it is asked to make legal judgments. Basically, the researchers wanted to know if AI, specifically GPT-4o, makes decisions like we do, where the most recent piece of evidence might have a bigger impact than it should. They tested it with 3 different criminal case scenarios. They changed how the information was presented to the AI and also how they asked the AI to respond. So, how did they do this super cool experiment? They used GPT-4o and gave it 3 different made-up criminal cases. For each case, they presented the evidence in 2 main ways. Sometimes they gave it all the evidence from one side, then all from the other side. In another way, they fed it the evidence item by item one after the other, switching sides. This is important because the order matters. They also played with how GPT-4o was asked to give its answers. They called these response modes. One was end of sequence, or EOS, where the AI would see all the evidence and then give a final judgment. The other was step-by-step, or SPEs, where the AI would give an answer after seeing each new piece of evidence. Think of it like this. EOS is like reading a whole book and then giving your review, while SBS is like giving a review after reading each chapter. And here's another twist: they asked GPT-4o to act in different roles. Sometimes it was told to be like a mock juror, someone who is just trying to decide guilt or innocence. Other times it was told to be a legal expert, someone with years of experience. And finally, they asked it to be an advisor, like a helper chatbot for a mock juror. This is super interesting because how we frame a question or a role can totally change how someone or something responds. Now, for the juicy part, what did they find? Turns out, GPT-4o does show recency effects. This means the order of information absolutely mattered. Even when it saw all the evidence at once, it was still swayed by what it saw last. But this effect was even stronger when the evidence was presented one piece at a time, that step-by-step mode. And here's a really striking finding: GPT-4o never gave a guilty verdict if the defense evidence was the very last thing it saw. Not once, no matter the case, no matter the role, no matter how the information was presented. It was almost like it became super cautious and decided to play it safe, always leaning towards not guilty in that situation. This is a strong indicator of bias. The role it played also made a big difference. The mock juror role actually showed the strongest recency effects and the most guilty verdicts. On the other hand, when it was asked to act as an advising chatbot, it seemed to be more moderate. It was less swayed by the order of evidence and gave fewer guilty verdicts overall. This is really telling. It suggests that framing the AI as a helper rather than a decision maker makes its responses more balanced. Another key finding is about how it updated its beliefs. The researchers compared GPT-4o's probability of guilt ratings to what a perfect Bayesian reasoner would calculate. Think of Bayesian probability like a logical way to update your beliefs based on new evidence. What they found is that GPT-4o was more conservative in its updates. It seemed to put too much weight on its initial belief and not enough weight on the new evidence. It was like it needed a lot more convincing to change its mind than a truly rational system would. So what does all this mean? The biggest takeaway is that this advanced AI, GPT-4o, really is susceptible to human-like cognitive biases, particularly recency effects. This is concerning because AI is being integrated into more and more important areas, and if it is making decisions based on the order of information rather than its actual weight, that could lead to unfair outcomes. The fact that it never gave a guilty verdict when defense evidence was last is particularly interesting. The paper suggests this might be due to legal norms about protecting the innocent, or perhaps a general tendency for models like this to avoid definitive guilty conclusions when recent information points away from it. The sycophantic behavior idea is also worth noting. Imagine if the AI learned that giving a not guilty verdict when defense evidence is last is something users or its training data tend to prefer. It might just do that to be agreeable. It is like the AI trying to be a good chatbot and saying what it thinks you want to hear. The difference between the advising chatbot and mock juror roles is huge. It shows that how we interact with AI and how we tell it to behave can directly influence how unbiased its decisions are. Framing it as an advisor with a focus on caution and helpfulness seems to lead to more balanced outputs. This has massive implications for how we design AI tools for legal settings, or really any high-stakes field. And that's conservative updating. It suggests that while the AI can process probabilities, it is not doing it in the most logical Bayesian way all the time. It is like it is holding on to its initial thoughts too tightly. This could be because of how these models are trained, always trying to predict the next word, which might discourage bold jumps in belief even when the evidence calls for it. Now, no study is perfect. The researchers point out that they only tested one type of AI GPT-4o. Other AIs, especially those built specifically for legal work, might behave differently. Also, real court cases are much more complex than these simple vignettes. There is cross-examination, a judge's instructions, and often evidence that isn't just text. Future research will need to look at these more complex scenarios and different types of AI. So, to wrap it up, this research shows that even our most advanced AI models, like GPT-4o, are not immune to cognitive biases. They can be influenced by the order of information, and the way we prompt them can make a big difference in how fair their judgments are. Framing AI as an advisor seems to be a good strategy to reduce bias, and we should be careful about using step-by-step interaction models that might amplify these effects. The idea of an AI that is not just a tool but a judge or juror is still a long way off, and for good reason. This study gives us a really important window into the mind of AI. It highlights the need for careful design and thoughtful implementation when we bring these powerful tools into sensitive areas like law. It reminds us that understanding how AI thinks is just as important as understanding how we think. What do you guys think about AI in the courtroom? Are you excited or worried? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Rubin's Mind Lab for more science deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.